works with a lot, kind of helping identify when whales wash up, performing necropsies to see what actually can we say what the cause of death was, based on broken bones and hemorrhaging and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of people working together, both NOAA and partners, to answer these questions. So we are creeping up on, we are at 2,081 meters. And at 2,000 meters, Taylor Ann is going to have the ROV team collect a Niskin. Taylor Ann, can you tell us a little bit about what this water sample is going to be for?
Yeah, so I'm going to be filtering this water to assess how many microplastics are in the sample. So I will be filtering it and then processing the sample on what's called like a micro FTIR machine. So this will tell me what plastics are present, what types of plastic they are, and I'll be able to hopefully count them as well. It'll be fun to figure that out. So I'll probably have to, depending on the volume that I filter, I'll have to filter them out in different volumes, so on different filters, so that I can actually see what's on the filter, so it's not too crowded with microplastics. So I'm taking samples at different depths, because at these different depths, there are different properties of the water column. So I'm looking at the CTD data here, looking at the temperature, salinity, that changes with depth, and then picking from there where I wanted to sample, so I can see how the concentrations and types of these microplastics are changing as these water mass properties change. And then I also have plans to collect some organisms that feed in different ways, so either sea pens or sea pigs, detritivores, which feed in the sediment, or the sea pens that feed in the water column with their polyps, to see if they are ingesting microplastics, and if so, what microplastics are they ingesting?
Taylor Ann, do you want us to stop our vertical ascent to trip this Niskin, or can we do it on the fly?
Let's see here. You're not moving too quick, so it should be okay to do it on the fly.
Yeah, copy. Thank you.
We're watching the countdown here. We're at 2,012 meters, 2,009 meters.
Say when.
And yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
3, 2, 1. Niskin.
I think that went, right?
It went, yeah. Oh, all right.
No, it really went.
We need a cool sound effect here. Pew pew.
I'll drop a target there. What's the sample number on that?
41, 041.
You
Oh wait,
it,
no,
Dan.
40, 0. 040. I was looking at the next sample. Oh wait, no, I was right. 041. Sorry.
041, yeah.
Don't get me started with sound effects. I'll do one for everything.
So.
Oh please.
That was
yes, we need some sound effects. Drum rolls.
That was a repair from my last one I pulled off. And I'm going to say that the repair was not sufficient. It's always the equipment, never the operator.
At least it
okay,
fired. So.
Kill the porch light. Yep. Please.
And so the next one's at 1,000, is that right?
Yes, 1,000.
I kind of wish I had a soundboard over here so I could do like applause and laughter, and, different sound effects.
A boo.
But I don't know if the sync would work up, perfectly.
You need the boo for fail.
I'm sure I could get one on my phone and hold it up.
I was just joking with Erica that I'm a total introvert, and having me talk for quite so long, I never talk this much.
That's funny. I'm also an introvert and quite quiet
Yeah.
in nature. So
Y'all are doing great.
Yeah, I will sleep a lot after being prompted on so many questions, but sound effects, anything from the front row there, please bring it on.
yeah, talking about fun stuff that we're all passionate about. So it's a little easier to get out of your shell, huh? At least for me.
Yeah, it's true. It's true because this is an opportunity to share our passion with people around the world that may know more than us on these subjects, but may have never experienced this before. And it just feels so important to share how cool this is and how connected things are. Like, you collecting microplastic samples. Yes, humans have dispersed plastic down to the bottom of the ocean, covering the world. That's huge. And I'm so thrilled that you're working on it.
Yeah, it's exciting to be out here doing this. I was an intern last year, and I didn't expect to be coming back this year. Well, I was hoping, but I wasn't sure. And I definitely wasn't expecting to be starting to collect some samples for my own research. So that's pretty amazing. OET is awesome in supporting their crew or their team members. I think that's pretty great. Yeah, it's been different this year for sure, with the lack of scientists aboard. But it's awesome that we have this telepresence capability to still have you all here with us on the dives.
I'm sure there
Hey,
are
Taylor,
a lot
you're
of
on
people
stream
out
3
there.
if you want to wave to your fans.
Oh, what was that?
You're on stream 3 if you want to take a wave to your fans.
Hello. I forgot they have this camera like right here up my nose. Good thing I have a mask on,
The
right?
masked
You can't
scientist.
see my nose.
Can you or any of the folks on the front row tell us a little bit more about how people can get involved in the internship programs or anything with OET?
Who was starting? Steve,
Yeah,
you go.
I was gonna say that 3 out of the 5 people in the van right now started out as interns.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Rennie, you were an intern, or was it you, Dan?
I was an intern.
Rennie, oh yeah, so 4 out of 5 of us started as interns with OET.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that. Cool.
My internship was my first time at sea. I have not much of a background in biology. I have more of a background in film production, but I always had an interest in biology and science, and always looked for work that blended the two fields, and yeah, it led me here. I met someone who had done the internship, and they recommended it to me, and now it's my 3rd year out.
I started.
The Nautilus recidivist.
Yeah. I started also as an intern as a mapping specialist when they first installed the multi-beam sonar system. So my background was more in remote sensing and geospatial sciences, and came out to work on that, doing some mapping in the Gulf of Mexico. And then came back the next year doing Taylor Ann's role, actually. I was in the science position for a bit, and then eventually transitioned over when mapping kind of got absorbed with navigation duties, ROV navigation. So now I'm started doing that as well many years ago, and now I'm here doing it kind of full-time. As full-time as this work is, it's really contract work coming out at sea for weeks and months at a time. But prior to that, all of my work was land-based remote sensing and field work and whatnot in my master's program.
Can you give us some examples of remote sensing, both in marine and terrestrial habitat?
Sure. So remote sensing is kind of a way of collecting data from afar. So satellite imagery, that's a form of remote sensing. What I was using on land was LiDAR, which is light detection and ranging. It's using lasers, much like you would at home if you've ever seen those laser distance measurements and used in home construction, things like that. Just measuring how far it is across the room via a laser. Doing that on a more robust, more frequent scientific scale. You have LiDARs mounted on in airplanes, airborne LiDAR, and then also there's spaceborne LiDAR. I was using terrestrial LiDAR, which uses a LiDAR on a tripod, but it's using the time of flight through air from when the light emits to when it's received at the sensor. And using this speed of light, you can determine how far away something is. So I was creating, you do that millions of times and you can create a 3D model of something that you're looking at. So I was doing that, working on rock glaciers in the Andes. And that kind of transitioned into my work using multi-beam sonar, which is using sound through water, still time of flight, and you can get distance measurements among some other things as well, but in order to map the seafloor. So those are a few examples of remote sensing.
That's awesome. There are a lot of, we're using remote sensing more and more in science in general. There are some things that it's not suited for, but there's a lot of ways that we can enhance what we've always been doing with remote sensing. Like when I worked with penguin science, the group that I was studying within the Antarctic, so that's through Point Blue Conservation Science, it's NSF funded. You know, we'd been studying the known aged Adelie penguins for more than 20 years. The project had been. But as remote sensing became accessible, we were able to put satellite tags and time depth recorders on Adelie penguins at a colony and then pull up the MODIS satellite images of sea ice extent and map where these penguins are going, and then also look at the type of dives that they're doing in different areas associated with ice. So that's just one example of kind of pairing what we've always done with these new information that gives us a much broader understanding.
Yeah, and from my perspective, it seems like the amount of field work and ground truthing hasn't really decreased. It's just that with the advent of more and more satellite-based remote sensing, airborne remote sensing, is that we're able to collect more data. That still needs to be ground truth, and we still need the field work, but what that's then being compared to and verifying is a much larger data set in much higher resolution spatial scales and higher resolution temporal or time scales. So we're just getting a lot more data.
Yeah.
And we, you know, a lot of these things are used, these data points are being used to model what happens in the future and what happened in the past.
So to bring it back to the Nautilus, the seafloor mapping is a remote sensing.
That's right, yeah. So multi-beam sonar, we're emitting a acoustic pulse into the water column using an array of transducers, and that array is set up in a linear fashion that can beamform our acoustic pulse into a very wide, narrow width. So we are interrogating the seafloor as we travel along with the ship in a forward direction. From a side-to-side direction, we're sending out a wide beam And then we have a transducer array that's mounted perpendicular to that, and we're able to collect, again, through beamforming, a thin, wide, we're listening in a thin, wide beam pattern, and then we can synthetically steer those beams to listen to different moments in time. And so kind of the end result is we're collecting a lot of distance measurements across the seafloor as the ship steams forward. And then we use a mowing the lawn pattern back and forth to collect all of these XYZ points in three-dimensional space. And when we put them together, we are able to create a three-dimensional model of what the seafloor looks like. What we have before that, like if you look at Google Earth, for example, and you're looking at the seafloor, which you can see, oh, there's terrain here. I'm seeing bathymetry. Not all of that has been multi-beamed. In fact, most of it has not been, but that's using, we're able to get an idea of what that looks like using satellite altimetry. Basically how those shapes affect the surface of the water, and using satellite measurements of the surface of the water, you can get a sense of the seafloor below it. But it's not as fine of a resolution as multi-beam sonar. So that's why there's a big push to map the whole seabed. Seabed 2030 is the initiative. And so the idea is to map it within a certain resolution by 2030. And a lot of that has been collating existing data, getting a world database that is better representative.
Just going to jump
So
in
that's
here.
not just,
Dan and
yeah.
Jake, did camera 60 hertz, that just went out, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to see
Yeah,
if I'm going to see if Al or Marley can give it a reboot.
Yeah, Roger. I'm not bothered with it.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to notify someone, but we're less than an hour from the surface.
I notify someone at 500 meters.
What's that?
I usually notify Mark at 500 meters, but I might go at like 700 because we're coming up faster. Also, I will need to pause the ship at some point so he can assess if we need to change heading and all that.
He usually likes a half an hour to play around down there. So
I'll let him know when we've got a half hour up.
Odd you have a depth thing. It's normally a half-hour call out.
Yeah, I think we more typically don't come out. We more typically come up at a 15 to 20.
A more sedate pace.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. It could be time-based.
Yeah, if we're working other ships with the mobile system, it's like the Thompson and the Tully. They require a half-hour notice.
Yeah.
Half-hour call out, we call it.
Taylor Ann, do you need the ship to slow down for your Niskins, or they can be done on the fly?
Last time we slowed down a bit, I think, and it seemed to be all right. Yeah, he just was prepared to pull it a few meters beforehand and pulled it on the fly.
Yeah, Roger.
Okay, so we've got,
I got set up at 100 meters before, so we can pull it right on the mark.
And Taylor, did you want one taken at 1,000 meters, 500 and 150, or did you change that?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 100 instead of 150, but I don't think it really,
okay.
Yeah.
So we can
great.
We can stop at the 151 because
yeah, that one we can make a stop. Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to do that a little bit before.
Maybe at the 500 as well. I don't know.
Because we usually stream at 300 meters in a certain direction, and I want to make sure that that direction is the correct one.
Roger. We just keep streaming them?
What's that?
We can just keep streaming on this heading?
No, I want to stop so then the current is better assessed. Because right now it's dragging Argus, and so that's influencing the measured current, or the estimated current. So we usually stop, assess the current, see if they want to change heading at all, and then stream in that direction if there is a change. But there may not be a change. It's pretty calm out there, but might as well just go through the steps.
Yeah, I'm good with keep it on trucking. Flat calm out.
Yeah, it's mainly if that current is pegsy on the starboard side or something.
I can go throw some orange peels out if you want.
60 hertz is back.
Roger that.
Taylor Ann, thanks for your feedback. I was off on a call planning for the next dive, and it looks like we will be able to do some more Niskins on the next dive for you, as well as look for sea pens to collect. I don't think we'll see sea pigs at that depth, but we will keep our eyes open for those too.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, speaking of that, Erica, we got a couple questions. Are we heading back to the octopus garden? Is that the next dive 4 plan?
We are headed back to what we did last year to pick up some equipment at the octopus garden and the nearby octopus spa. So primarily it is a retrieval of equipment dive, but if we have some time, we will be taking additional measurements if we see some shimmering areas with octopus, as well as taking water samples, like I said, and
I see.
we'll
So
take some close-ups of eggs and octopus. And if we see anything interesting and we have time, we'll do that too. It's going to be a relatively short dive,
Yeah,
about
Roger.
10-hour dive. So we hope to be diving again around 8 o'clock tonight.
Judging by
Oh,
the
that's new.
bubbles
So
on the back of the ship there.
8 o'clock dive.
I think currents.
Yeah, but we probably won't be on the seafloor till about 11 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
So
Great. Yeah, it's definitely one of the questions coming in. People they don't want to miss out on that, but I think like a lot of us, they need to catch up on their sleep.
yes.
Great. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, and it's ever changing. It looks like we are going to get some weather. So that's why that dive will be a little short,
Yeah,
about 10-hour dive.
Flaking out.
Yeah, Al's just letting me know that he was going to be, some are going to go in and out.
Over there.
Not sure what he's up to, but it's expected.
Not really bothered about the 60 hertz image, but it's kind of nice to have the deck camera. But I don't need that either, so I don't panic if we don't have it.
It'll be back.
Camera mid's been pretty stable. That's the only one I really need.
So keep your eyes out for midwater fishes. At this time of day, they should be around this depth zone. We're at 1,450 meters right now. And it is the largest mass migration on the planet. It happens every single day. These midwater fishes migrate from the deeper water from the daytime to the shallower depths at nighttime to feed. And they do that so that they sort of remain in the dark to avoid predation. So keep your eyes out for some of these midwater fishes and squids.
Yeah, they're also hunting down the copepods as well, which have that migration pattern too. We have a audience question. I think this is a pretty fun open-ended one. So I'll just throw it out to anybody if they want to add their thoughts on this one. What's the most interesting animal spotted on this expedition or any other?
Dead whale.
That's cheating, but that's a good one.
Octopus.
Well, we also saw the encrusted octocoral on the last watch, which was pretty new for all of us.
Yeah.
That was a surprise.
I missed that one.
Yeah, so luckily Gary Williams from California Academy of Sciences, who is an idarian expert, he was able to let us know that it was a, now I'm forgetting the name. Let me look at my notes here. It's a stoloniferous coral. And we have actually seen it before here at Davidson, but it was on a sponge. And so this time we saw it on a rock, on these long ribbon type masses. And I had never seen it before. So we collected a little bit of it. So we'll hopefully get a positive ID on that sometime in the future.
And we also saw that single polyp octocoral, which was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually a type of mushroom coral. They usually occur in pairs, but these larger ones we saw, they were single. It's amazing they can get that large.
Those were those single polyp corals?
Yeah, they kind of look like a succulent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or an
And
upside
the
down
genus
squid.
name was, yeah, it was called Bathyalcyon. If I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Also in the midwater the other day, I don't even remember what day it was, a few of us caught a brief glimpse at a hatchet fish.
That was
Which is
cool.
That was really cool. That was exciting.
Is that the small, shiny, round-looking fish that I saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what
Yeah.
that
Yeah, it's
was
about
at the
the
time.
size of a It's about the size of a silver dollar.
Wow.
And they're really compressed laterally, so they're skinny fish. And they have photophores on their belly side. And you need to look at those photophores to be able to identify it, as well as they have some anal spines and some, I think, pectoral fin spines. But those are cool.
It just
Yeah, I know
happened
last
there
year.
when I. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
When we saw it, I messaged Erica because she wasn't online. It wasn't our shift at the time, and she said, "I'm assuming you're looking at this in a field guide?" Question mark. They
I was
are
surprised that
pretty
you saw it on
special
video.
to see it on video. So that was really, it was just a few seconds, but it was a really special look. And that is one of those species that really has the clear, this is a creature from the deep look. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I know last year when we were diving, I think just south of the Channel Islands, in that area, we came across the fangtooth, and that was pretty cool. It hung out with us for a little while, and we got some good camera views of them. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to see these fish that are, you know, typically very deep and just not really known. A lot of the times that I've seen deep sea fish has just been when they've washed up on the beach. So to see them kind of swimming around in their habitat it's always pretty cool.
And if you see them on video without any scale, they look so ferocious, but they're only an inch or two long, some of these deep sea fish with these long teeth to ensnare prey like copepods and things. So once you see how big they are, like, oh, I'm not so scared of that now. But if you see it on video, like, ooh, I don't want to be swimming next to that thing.
Yeah, you've seen, I mean, most of these guys, they're all mouths and teeth. So, you know, they eat a lot of things that are bigger than them sometimes. So. All right, any other interesting sightings from the crew? Want to add anything this year, last year that you guys have seen?
I think the footage of the sperm whale you all captured was amazing. That you were able to capture that on Nautilus video. I think that's going around on YouTube.
Yeah. That was,
when was that?
Gulf of Mexico 2014 or 15? 14.
We are creeping up on Taylor Ann's Niskin. We are now at 1,260 meters.
Have you guys ever experienced any bumps on the ROVs, at least on Herc.
Bump from.
Organisms. Anything
I think we had a shark.
potentially swimming by, getting a little too close.
Sharks bump us every once in a while.
That ride-along crab the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
Yeah, for like 4 hours, entire shift.
Did he
Just
end up
when we'd
surfacing?
think it was gone.
He actually, I think right after our shift, he hopped off.
He bailed.
Yeah, it
Okay.
didn't make it to the surface.
Got it.
Honorary
become,
member of the 12 to 4 shift.
Didn't want to become dinner.
One cool sighting I remember was seeing this electric ray, and we saw a few predation events of it going after fish, kind of wrapping itself around fish.
With that torpedo ray emitting electricity, could that be dangerous if it grasped onto the ROV? You know, they can
I
produce
don't know.
quite a shock.
That's a question for the pilots. Jake, what do you think?
I have no clue. I don't know how great of a electric discharge they emit.
Well, I think their lobes have to touch, as far as I understand it. So it's not just touching the ray itself, but it's the lobes.
They do wrap their pectoral fin rays around an object, so it has to create a circuit, I assume, somehow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I don't know if they have to touch. They just have to wrap around it. I'll look online to see what the voltage is. It's pretty shocking.
Yeah, interesting. You'd be shocked. Shocked to know.
Wait upon Erica.
I also enjoyed seeing the Christmas tree corals, as we were calling them, on one expedition. They were just towering over Hercules, 2 or 3 times
Where
the
was that?
size. I can't remember if that was last year or if it was 2018. So, but I'm gonna guess it was last year, somewhere between Hawaii and Samoa.
It's a bit of a
broad range.
broad range. Somewhere in the remote Pacific.
Yeah.
Where the most
So the torpedo ray
are out.
The torpedo, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The torpedo ray can produce up to 220 volts.
They can
Maybe
charge
that's
an
not too
electric
shocking.
vehicle.
So besides the west coast of California, what are some of the craziest places that you all have been on the Nautilus?
Samoa.
Yeah, Samoa. Pacific remote islands last year were really cool. Those seamounts around Jarvis Island, Kingman Reef, a lot of cliff-like deep sea.
That must have been where we saw the Christmas tree corals. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Huge corals, like every dive. It's awesome.
Galapagos was good, and Revillagigedo Islands in the Gulf of California, just at the base of it.
None of it holds a candle to the Endeavour vent field.
Yeah, Endeavour vent field's really nice. And also up there, Bowie Seamount. Its base is at somewhere like 4,000, and its peak is just 20 meters below the surface. The vent fields at Galapagos are also pretty spectacular as well. Any vent fields really are pretty spectacular.
How deep are they at the Galap? I can't even say that word.
I think they're Yeah, the rift is, I can't recall, at least probably like 25 to 3,500 meters deep, but I'd have to look.
So you see phase separation on the super hot smokers? Or it looks like the vent's on fire?
I can't remember, I'm mixing it up with Endeavor. But there was some pretty cool, surrounding the vents, there was a lot of stratified layers of the rapid cooling, and what it would create is this top layer of rock, and then beneath it there was all these tunnels, and then the top layer would collapse, and so when we were kind of flying over it, you would just see these collapsed rooms with what looked like rooms and doors and windows in them. That was just like kind of the network of lava flow.
Porch light for me.
Yep.
So
What
it,
is the maximum water temperature that Herc can operate in? Can it get that close to the vents?
Oh yeah, it's got the scars to prove it.
Oh, should we do a countdown again?
Yeah, I'm way early here.
Yeah, it's going to be a long countdown. 73 meters to, you can count, Amity.
Just talk really slow.
so are the Niskins open on the bottom as well as the top?
Yeah, on both sides, they're open. And
That
then,
makes sense.
yeah, they close at the same time when he pulls the string.
All the flow, the nip steals,
Yeah.
even when it's not moving.
Time for me to catch
So it
up.
causes the res to fill up rapidly on deck.
Taylor Ann, what sample number will this be?
This will be 04242.
So this will be the third Niskin you fired for your work here?
Yeah, so Niskins 1 through 4 have been fired, but 1 and 2 are sample number 40. They got 2 at the bottom. And then now we have one at 2,000, and we're grabbing this one at 1,000.
$24 meters and counting.
All right, this definitely calls for a countdown.
3,
2, 1.
2,
Oh,
1. Blast off.
There it is.
got it.
Quite a delay on my video feed.
Oh, wait. Turn back on for you.
Oh, wrong button. See what comes way back up.
Yeah, like 300 400.
Ah, I did the wrong. Also wrong button. Yeah, and our velocity slowed. Came up.
400 psi.
It's not a very good filter on that velocity graph, is it? Need to work on that.
So what kind of scars would Herc have gotten from the vent, Dan?
What's that?
But you said that Herc has the scars to prove it's been near the vents. What kind of damage?
Oh, on Herc, there's some of the lights are a little discolored from being in the smokers, and some of the plastic up around the bumper bar has been melted a few times. But I've, on some other vehicles, welded the bio box shut to the point where it had to be opened with a sledgehammer, cooked the sonar to the point where it was not even useful for a paperweight, melted bits off the front of the vehicle. Killed a few lights. The most difficult is when we're trying to get a sampler that Woods Hole uses called the major sampler. It's a titanium contraption that sucks in water out of the hydrothermal vent. And you got to get real up close and personal, usually up on the structure. So you actually have to park the vehicle in the structure, and you know it's getting hot, but you try not to have it directly in the vent. All damage done in the name of science. Some very expensive samples out there. The sonar was really painful because our spare was an old analog thing that didn't work too well. I suffered for the rest of the cruise with it. But most of the devices up front there are impervious to not only pressure, but they obviously can temperature cycle. So the manufacturers take them basically from, they thermal cycle them from freezing to, I don't know, some temperature, 150 or something like that. Some of the vent fluid and also the methane hydrate seeps can be harsh on the front of the vehicle as well. If any kind of acrylic or anything, it really might as well just pour acid on it. It kind of messes it up.
And how much does Herc cost, like, to replace it today? Anyone know?
What's that?
How much does Herc
How
cost?
much is our? Yeah.
You're breaking up a little.
How much does Herc cost?
Herc?
Yeah.
Priceless.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
That's what I was gonna say.
So a typical commercial vehicle, the spread is somewhere around 2.5 million.
Ouch.
A recent build, the Sebastian, they spent around 8 million.
Oh my.
So that's a similar vehicle to Herc. That's highly tricked out with all the latest and greatest modern gadgets and gizmos.
It's an expensive taxi cab you're driving.
Yeah, but what's more expensive is a $100,000 a day a ship with no ROV and a very
Yes,
frustrated
wow.
crew. So the repairs can be expensive. You know, it's not uncommon to put 6 figures into a maintenance period.
So we're starting to see
we
some more
accept
midwater
donations, so.
animals passing by. We've seen some ketognaths, which are also called arrowworms, and some jellies. I don't know what the tiny specks are. They might be little shrimp or cabipods. There goes a pyrosome. You might see more of those on our way up.
Yeah,
One
those
of those
seem to be quite more common.
So if actinophores combs aren't bioluminescent, how come it looks like he's always got his LED lights on when he goes by?
That's a good question. They are iridescent for sure. I'll look into that.
They're reflective, right? Against our lights.
Yes.
I think I saw one of those red lobate ctenophores.
Definitely.
Does that have a common name? It kind of looks like a bleeding heart to me.
There are several species or more of lobate ctenophores. That's just a name for the group of ctenophores that they are. So I don't know which ones we're seeing, but there's a bunch of different ones that are called lobate ctenophores. And I know that one we see at depth at Davidson is undescribed as of yet. I think Mbari has been working on describing some of these lobate ctenophores. So I think something was said earlier that will we find new species? And I imagine that we can probably find at least one new species on every dive. We may not collect it. We try to do that occasionally, especially when there's a need and there's a taxonomist waiting to do it. Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is Amity. I'm gonna sign off for now, and we'll hopefully be tuning back in to catch the second half of today's dive 4. I'm gonna need to catch up on my sleep to do that one as well, but this has been super fun. I do want to, before I leave you guys today, I just want to convey some of the comments coming in over the chat box on nautiluslive.org website. Kudos to the phenomenal Hercules and Argulis pilots and all the great observations, commentary, navigation as well. Many people are living vicariously through our experiences on this dive and on this cruise. So there's great appreciation for all the hard work that we do. And many folks are tuning in saying, please catch up on your sleep very soon, but we want to see you back out there as soon as you can. So that just goes to show the dedication of the team, not only from shore, but also the team on the ship. So it's very much appreciated, the work that we all do to make this happen for audiences around the world. So I also want to thank you guys for letting me join in today. It was a lot of fun. And I will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, thanks,
Amity.
Amity.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Amity.
Okay, bye-bye.
So we are at about 750 meters depth, coming at a pretty good rate. I'm impressed.
"25 meters a minute, half an hour until the surface." not counting
Amazing.
pit stops for.
My ears hurt just thinking about that rapid ascent.
My back hurts just thinking about all the work we got to do in the next 4 hours to turn this ROV around.
No rest for the weary. I wonder if people
So
can
what do
hear
some
how
of those
tired we are in our voices.
what do some of those tasks include when you have to do the work on deck to get it ready for the next dive?
Oh, we have lists, but in short form, it's a series of post-dive checks, and then whatever integration to get ready for the next dive. And this task, in this case, will probably consist of changing out the front porch and putting some rigging on to recover some instruments on the seabed, removing or stowing some of the instruments that are currently on the vehicle, liaison with the scientist aboard and the expedition leader on how the vehicle's configured and what the next dive plan is, and then a list of pre-dive checks, which usually consists of testing all the functionality of the vehicle, the winch, and other bits while it's on deck, and then some work on the deck to prepare the deck, turn the deck around from recovery mode to launch mode, which involves changing some bits on the crane and some rigging on the tuggers for Argus. We also do a typical, like a pit stop, so we check all the compensators, the oil-filled compensators for any seawater ingress, and then top up all the oils and check all the fasteners on the manips. And it's about it's a 2-page list for each vehicle. They get a thorough pit stop, basically, and reconfiguration.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of like a NASCAR racetrack where you have to do everything and get it back out there. Amazing.
Yeah, it's typically a 4-hour evolution if nothing is, if there's no maintenance or intervention required. So it's we're busy to get it turned around, and in this case, there's some weather coming, and we're reconfiguring the vehicle to recover instruments, so it'll be a busy turnaround. But touch wood, I don't think we have anything on the what we call the defect list. I don't know why we call it that. If we have any issues during the dive, like a light not working, or some rigging not quite right, or something that doesn't work how we want to, we keep a list of that and we address it while we're on deck. Well, Hercules and Argus are both pretty, and the launch and recovery system are some of the most well-maintained vehicles I've had the pleasure of working on. So it's a reflection of the crew that usually operates and does the maintenance on these vehicles, and a steady stream of very keen interns to help us do all the not so glamorous part of ROV work.
The nitty gritty.
So when the ROV comes up, do you sort of ignore normal shifts and it's all hands on deck to get all the pilots out there and engineers to get it going back in the water?
Pretty much. It's usually two watches on deck. So whoever's closest to the next watch, we try not to get the oncoming watch up early, so they can get their beauty rest, so they're fresh for operations. So usually like in our case, this watch will probably stay up after to help the next watch who's coming on at 4 o'clock turn the vehicles around. and that way the 8 to 4 watch gets a good rest. So they'll be in prime time. But our ROV lead is also on that watch, so he likes to be up for all the launch and recoveries and turnaround. So we might have all 3 watches on deck in this case. They also like to eat dinner because the food is really good on Nautilus. So
It is. I'm missing it.
my waistline is not missing it.
Got 100 meters till the next Niskin.
Yeah, roger. I was ready way too early last time.
Yeah.
You want to pause here at the next one?
For me?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're comfortable. I mean, I think if anything, you may be a little bit starboard at the surface, but I think we can probably keep streaming even at the surface at this speed. And then if need be, I can either alter course or hold and shift over. But
yeah, like, I'm comfortable so far. We got 20%.
I took a look out there, and I mean, they are going a bit starboard, but not very fast. So I think you'll be fine to fight whatever you got up there. If you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah. The other day when we were moving at 1 knot, when we were doing the blue water tow,
yep,
that cable was strumming back and forth, probably about 50 millimeters, just from the current, and then it was causing the whole overboarding sheave to
wiggle.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, that's what a 1 knot current looks like. You can see it from Mark's seat up there on the social deck.
Yeah.
See, what am I going for here? Green?
Yeah, number 5. I can't tell what color that is.
Green, yeah.
Me neither, I'm colorblind. Looks like green.
Affirmative.
So this will be sample number 43. Is that correct, Taylor?
Yep, that's correct.
$2,200 now. The arm frozen. And it drops it 4 meters a minute from 25 to 21 and 26 to 22. Somebody else gonna count down this time? It's much more fun when someone else counts. You pull the trigger. No fun when you do it yourself.
You got it, Steve?
Yeah, I was just making sure I was reading the right number. 4, 3, 2, 1. Niskin.